Meeting of the minds. Where is my foe? What is this? There is no enemy in sight. Sonia, what's the meaning of this? You're right, Father. There's no one here. This is an important piece of the puzzle, though. The enemy must be targeting this area. If they're here, Sonia, show me where they're hiding. If there is no enemy, there can be no battle. We must move ahead to the next battlefield. I suppose you're right, and yet something seems strange. I've no time for your stubbornness. Come, Sonia, we must go. Yes, Father, I understand. A mirror darkly. It's like one of those, does this make sense in Japanese, like Bravely Default? Just as I thought, not a soul in sight. Does no one in Yellow Comet have a brain? No, that would be America. Oh well, I guess I'll just march right in and capture their HQ. Took your time getting here, didn't you? Who? Sonia. You're not supposed to be here. I was told your army had moved on. Sorry to disappoint you. That intel came from me, actually. It was false. It took some doing to get my father and Sensei to agree to this plan, but I was beginning to wonder if you would take the bait. Wait a minute. Are you saying that you trapped me? Surrender. There are rockets on both sides of you, and the artillery waits ahead. If you try to get to our HQ, you'll be wiped out. I wonder... Huh? It's not like you're a combat specialist or anything, right? I really wonder if you can take me. I have a pretty big army here. If I keep marching, I think I'll take your HQ and win. Don't you agree? Impossible. My calculations are not wrong. Your army will be destroyed before you even touch our HQ. I think I can make it. Care to bet on it? If you really want to try, who's going to stop you? Oh, that's right, I am. How's this? If even one of your units gets to our HQ, you win. Now, girl, where did you learn your negotiation skills? Like, maybe say like 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, but 1? Come on. Psh. Yay, a game, hee hee hee. Here is Sonia's second mandatory mission where we have to play as her. This Fog of War mission against Lash can be somewhat difficult, but at the same time, it's actually really easy. On the first day, we want to make sure that we move our indirect units in place. The idea is we want to have these permanently parked so that we do not have to move them because we cannot fire and move them on the same day. Our infantry units typically we want as an edge to be able to see by placing them on the mountaintops. There are some intrinsic problems here. Putting them on the mountain edges makes them vulnerable to enemy attack. Secondly, if the enemy can see our indirect units, they will actually not park them in the way, and so we will be wasting days because there will be no enemies in the range of our indirect combat unit. But we just make the best gauntlet that we possibly can, chipping away at the enemy. The enemy does have some infantry units as well, which can cross over mountains and potentially wreck a good run. We don't want to focus primarily on the infantry, otherwise we will let the most powerful neo-tanks through and completely decimate our headquarter defense. I think that answers that question. I lost, or well, I still have plenty of pieces to play with. Pieces? I can't believe you said that. This isn't a game. You're not on some kind of playground. Oh, but it is a game. A wonderfully fun game between you and me. I know you feel the same way. Come on, you can tell me. Don't be silly. I'm nothing like you, Rash. You're exactly like me. You and I, we're the same. You're always thinking about it, right? Which moves will bring victory? You enjoy war like a good game of chess. We're not different at all, Sonia. You'll feel it someday, the joy that war brings. Wait, you feel it now, don't you? Oh, Sonia, hee hee, Toodles. Wait, hold it. Am I really like you? I won't become you, Rash. I can't.
Mission complete.
Bam! That appears to be the lab on the map. If my intel is accurate, they're working on a new type of tank in there. Calculating from Adder's skill and the speed of our advance, I estimate we have 18 days to capture the lab or rout our foe. If we can do that, we might be able to get our hands on the weapon specs. I see. We've no time to tarry then. It looks like the battle started without us. What? Who in the world could it be? It's Black Hole on one side, but who are they fighting? My enemy's enemy is my ally, or something like that. Prepare to advance. We must not be late. This is the location of Black Hole's secret lab. We have to get this information to Yellow Comet. They've come to fight with us. Yes, let us combine our strength and strike. 18 days, here we go. 18 days for this mission is not a lot of time. Thankfully, we do have 4 pre-deployed units from Sammy's army, 3 battleships and 1 cruiser. The cruiser is invaluable to hold off the enemy's bomber. We don't want to expose our cruiser, otherwise the bomber will swoop in and cause massive damage. And once that cruiser is out of the way, that bomber can then, with impunity, take out Sammy's battleships. So we have to be careful to make sure that our cruiser is always kept safe, and that will actually prevent the bomber from harassing Sammy at all. In order for Canby to be able to advance north as fast as humanly possible, in my opinion, the missile rockets are the biggest hazard here. So we can use Sammy's battleship to focus on the opponent's long-range indirect units. We have to capture the properties as fast as possible and reach as far as we can. If we can get to the center airport, that's what we want to focus on capturing. As soon as we have that airport captured, we can begin pumping out the necessary units. For example, if we're being harassed by air units, we can create fighters. If we are in dire need of a bomber to take out a battleship, we can create a bomber. Or we can use the cheaper battlecopters to be able to send out a fleet of inexpensive but very powerful air units. Even though we have to keep Sammy's units alive, at some point in the battle her army does become useless as there is nothing left for her to accomplish. It's typically the case that we can even end this battle with some of the opponent's navy still intact. In fact, I don't really recommend trying to build up a sea force. If you do, oftentimes the northmost submarines will begin coming down. If we try to build battleships, we're defenseless against submarines, and if they start coming for us, then we would have to start buying cruisers, and it's just a battle of attrition that you can't really win. Regardless, we have to take some casualties here because we absolutely have to send our fighters and land units, if possible, to the northmost island, as well as some T-copters with infantry to be able to capture that base. One day to spare. Okay, 2, but still. Alright, we got our Neo tank plans, so that is good times.
Mission complete.
The stressful level. Cha-ching, perfect score. Time to finish off the Yellow Comet campaign. Say that 100 times fast. Top 5 favorite level right here. They've come this far. That must mean. Adder. Who's there? Who dares address me? Oh, Hawk, it's you. It appears that you're behind schedule. What have you been doing? I've been delayed, but only slightly. It's no problem. We'll be in control of this tiny country soon. You'll have my word. Do you understand what it means that I am here, Adder? If I win here, there's no problem. That's correct, isn't it? If you win. At last, the enemy's factory. If we claim victory here, we can drive the enemy out of our homeland. Yes, let it begin. It's been a long time, Canby. If it isn't, Olaf, why are you here? I've brought along my men to lend Yellow Comet my aid. The Black Hole Army threatens us all. Blue Moon will stand beside you in this fight. Ah, Candy is grateful. With the power of Blue Moon beside us, we cannot lose. The hunt's end. Now is the moment of truth. I hope my infantry is up to the task. Alright, for this map, it's definitely an epic battle, and there is a lot to unpack here. So no matter who we choose for Yellow Comet, it's very difficult to get going. Sonya takes a long time to get going because her units are weak, and so therefore you will be taking a lot of damage and will be having to build a lot more units. Canby, similarly, is very slow to get going because his units are so expensive to make. The middle ground is Sensi, whereas we can get going the fastest with him. The overall problem of using Sensi in the sea, however, is that it would leave your land unguarded, and Adder's army definitely pushes south and then west. So your strategy with Sensi is to work on the land as fast as you can. If you advance, there is a neutral base that you absolutely must capture so that you can begin manufacturing land units here. Remember, there is no such thing as too many anti-air units on this particular battle. Once we capture the first base, we have to then extend a little bit further and capture the second base, which actually borders the ocean. It's essential to be able to control this choke point before Adder's forces come this far south. It's usually the case that by this time Adder has actually captured some neutral cities on the south right corner of the map. Now I like to pick Sammy because she has the Victory March, which allows me to capture a property in a single go, which sometimes in maps like this is extremely helpful. You might notice that Sammy is definitely disadvantaged here because there is no base on the north stretch of land. So that is, we can only create land units on her little headquarters island, and then everything must be transported with a lander. So therefore, as soon as we are able to capture the first seaport, we want to be able to branch out, capturing the second seaport as well as the airport on the other side of the ocean. This is definitely hazardous, as Adder actually has 2 factory doors in the water, so he can spawn 2 Navy units during any given day and move them on the same day that they are spawned. It's pre-programmed that a battleship will spawn very early in the battle, and typically I've always seen it harass Sammy's forces instead of the Yellow Comet army. However, we don't want to let this battleship sink our lander because we would only be bleeding the small amount of funds that we have at the beginning of the map. We have a cluster of 4 cannons that we also must proceed very carefully around. Hopefully Sammy has some momentum and can build at least 1 bomber, and this bomber is invaluable to not only take out units such as unsubmerged submarines, battleships, but also the cannons. The interesting thing is, typically it's the case that by the time Sammy gets going, and she is definitely disadvantaged by virtue of the various tiles, it takes her 3 days. For example, it takes Sammy 3 days to capture the first seaport based on the positioning of things. But even so, she can typically have a functioning land and air army that begins slowly fighting back in the center and the north stretch of this map. It's usually the case that Sensi can begin taking the bridged area and pushing Adder's forces back northward here. The issue with this is typically it's always the Orange Star force that takes out that final cannon and then eventually the pipe seam. This strategy, although it is a game-winning strategy, doesn't allow the Yellow Comet force to destroy a lot of enemy units, and so therefore your power statistic on the map score is always going to be in the low grade. If possible, you can build a Yellow Comet cruiser to be able to park by the Central Island Airport, and if you have it there, the artificial intelligence will typically keep producing some air unit that you can just easily destroy right out of the sky. Another strategy would be to send Sammy's troops to this airport to capture it, although I was not able to accomplish either of these tasks by the time that I was actually ready to destroy the pipe seam and thus completely win this mission. Typically, one final obstacle that the Yellow Army has to face off with, and typically definitely bogs your progress down, is by the time you are on the bridge island and trying to push north from there, Adder will either spawn one or sometimes even two battleships and have them permanently parked. These battleships would completely decimate your army, so it's best to just back off and let the Orange Star army come save the day.
The factory, it's the blasted weather, that was the problem.
Because like this obviously extremely beautiful 70-degree day, horrible weather. Real men do not make excuses for their shortcomings, but then again, this Adder guy has this real-life doppelganger. The Black Hole Army's in full retreat. Yes, Father, Sensi, we won. That we did, and an impressive win it was. Yeah, because Sammy did all the work for you. Oh snap. Today's battle will long be remembered as the day that we didn't do much, but the Orange Star, through our combined efforts, our common foe was defeated. I offer my gratitude. Thank you for your aid.
Don't be foolish. You would have done the same for us. Actually, Black Hole was foolish enough to attack us as well. Of course, we defeated them soundly, with some help from Orange Star. Well, here come Nell and her troops now. Long time no see, Canby. It seems that you have crossed swords with the Black Hole Army too.
Yes, we have. The strength of the Black Hole Army is immeasurable, especially the CO named Hawk. We've heard reports that he has Green Earth on the verge of defeat.
Impossible. There's no time to spare. We must get to Green Earth on the double. Yellow Comet is with you. Our strength is yours. If we all stand together, there is nothing we need fear.
Mission complete.
Judgment Day. Oh man. Yeah, see, almost good perfect marks elsewhere, but Yellow Comet didn't defeat enough enemies to have a high power rating.
It looks as though Yellow Comet and Blue Moon have given the foe the old heave-ho, Eagle. That just leaves Green Earth. Over half of our country is under enemy control, though.
Yes, and it's high time we took it back, Drake. Are we launching a counteroffensive? Perhaps I can lend a hand. Jess, you're back. Yes, I am. I couldn't continue my training abroad with my homeland in danger. Your timing couldn't be better. It's become a ground war, and neither Eagle nor I are any good at that. Knock it off, Drake. She delayed returning until she knew she'd be met with fanfare, that's all. What are you talking about? Stow it, Eagle. The enemy took us by surprise, nothing more. I can liberate Green Earth on my own without you underfoot, Red. Jess, don't mind him. He's angry is all. I'm not worried about him. I was just thinking that the more things change. You know, with Eagle in the skies, me at sea, and you on the ground, we're nigh invincible. Let's go get our country back.